So today we're going to graph radical functions, and by now you're good at, understanding parent graphs. If we ever encounter a graph we don't know, right, we choose some x values and we plug them in and we get the y values. So here, if I choose 4, I just chose it because it's a perfect square. The square root of 4 is 2, so I'm going to have the point 4, 2. The square root of 1 is 1, 1, 1. The square root of 0 is 0. And what happens when I try and take the square root of a negative? Can't do it. This is my graph for square root of x. It's just this little swoosh. The domain has to be greater than or equal to 0, and the range is also greater than or equal to 0. Once I get that parent graph, I usually can just do my shifting patterns. So I can look at this one and say, oh, that's going to go left 2, down 3. So I take that ordered pair at 0, 0, left 2, down 3, and then just make my swoosh. So here the x coordinates are all bigger than or equal to negative 2, and the y coordinates are all bigger than or equal to negative 3. And you can use a graphing calculator, so that can help you too. Write 3 up 4. So I start at 0, 0, write 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that kind of point is 3, 4. I didn't swoop that very good. There we go. So this is x is greater than or equal to 3, and y is greater than or equal to 4. And onwards we go. So here we're going to multiply it by a negative on the outside. So this is going to reflect over, do you remember? Right, the x-axis. So where the original graph kind of was up here, the new graph is down here. Now I'd just like to point out that if we put those two graphs together, there's the parent graph and there is the negative graph. That forms a sideways parabola. We're going to put those together in a later chapter, but for right now we're just kind of looking at just that lower swoosh. So the domain here is greater than or equal to 0, and the range is less than or equal to 0. If I take that negative and switch it to the inside, this is going to reflect over, do you know? Y-axis, right, it goes this way. So now the x's are less than or equal to 0, the range is still positive. Reflects over the y-axis. Here's where it gets a little bit much here. So this is going to be left 2 from this plus 2, and then reflected over the x-axis, so it comes down like this. So all the x values are bigger than or equal to negative 2, and the range is less than or equal to 0. Left 2 and reflected right there. I did that wrong, didn't I? I did. I'm sorry. It's reflected, but it's reflected over the y. It's okay to see me make a mistake, right? Reflected over the y-axis. So it is left 2, but it should go that way. So the domain is less than or equal to negative 2, greater than or equal to 0. Sorry. I noticed when I looked at number 7, because I was like, wait, this is reflected over x. It helps me to write it down, doesn't it? Reflected over the x. It's right 1, up 3. So right 1, up 3, and now reflected over the x, so that one goes down. So all the x values are bigger than or equal to 1, all the y values are less than or equal to 3. Just like we've had before, the 2 is going to make the arc a little steeper. So this one's going to go up 3 and just be a bit steeper there. So this is greater than or equal to 0, greater than or equal to 3. Greater than or equal to 3. Here, that negative 1 looks like it's outside, so that's down 1. And then the negative 1/2 is reflected and not as steep, like that. Like I said, you can use your calculator for these two, so you'll be good. Actually, you know what? You can't. Sorry. You can use it on the homework, I guess, but on the test, this section is actually without a graphing calculator. This test is actually, hang on, let me finish less than or equal to negative 1. Yeah, this test is part calculator, part no calculator, and the graphing is actually no graphing calculator. So you will have to know the shifting patterns for graphing radical functions.